Hi, my name is Dr. Debbi Kooyman with liveyourlifefully.com, and I'm talking today about mindfulness. So if you saw my first video on mindfulness, what is mindfulness? I explained a little bit what mindfulness is, and if you haven't watched that video, or just for a review, what mindfulness is it's choosing, making a conscious choice to pay attention on purpose to the present moment and doing it non-judgmentally. So now I'm going to talk about why mindfulness, or being mindful, we sometimes call it, is so important. And part of why that is so important is we need to be able to be aware of what's happening, both inside of ourselves and in our environment, if we want to understand ourselves, if we want to understand our reactions, and if we want to be able to do something about it or make changes. A lot of times people want to be mindful because they maybe don't like something that's going on, but maybe they're feeling stuck. They're having a hard time understanding what's going on, and they want to do something about it, but they don't really even understand what's going on. Or they try to problem solve, and what ends up happening is it's not effective because, again, really they don't know what's going on. So in order for us to be aware and then to make good decisions, we really need to understand what's going on. And mindfulness and being mindful provides us a tool to be able to understand, to be able to gain that awareness, to gain that clarity of what's happening. So it's super important for us to learn how to be mindful to ourselves, because a lot of times we walk around, especially in our culture, we live in a very mindless culture where we're not paying attention often. And there's various reasons for that. We live in a very busy culture. We live in a kind of a time and place, at least here in America, where in a lot of places in America, and I live in Southern California, so I think it's probably even worse here than in other parts of America and certainly other parts of the world, where we are so overstimulated. We have so many things coming at us all the time that really, in order to survive, we have to kind of learn to be mindless, because if we're paying attention to everything that's going on, our brains are just going to be way overstimulated. And that's really, our brains can't pay attention to so many things at once. So we have to shut things off just so we can survive and not be overstimulated. But then what ends up happening is we're mindless to a lot of things, including ourselves, and we don't understand. We don't know what's going on. So a lot of times we have no idea. A lot of people, if you've heard those stories or seen those shows about somebody who was pregnant and didn't know they were pregnant until they gave birth, that's a really kind of extreme case of being mindless, because with pregnancy, there's a ton of stuff that's going on in your body, and to be so disconnected and so unaware of what's going on in your body that you're not even aware that you have a human being growing inside of you. Again, that's kind of an extreme case of being disconnected, but a lot of us may not be that extreme, but we're really not connected to what's going on in our body. We don't know what's happening in our body. So we don't always understand when we're physically sick what's going on. When we're having emotional struggles, we don't understand what's going on. So in order for us to be able to best take care of our physical bodies as well as our mind and our emotional beings, we need to be able to be aware of what's happening inside of my body, what's happening with my thoughts, what's happening with my emotions. And then we're not just isolated beings that live in little bubbles. We're interacting with the environment, we're interacting with other people. So then it's important for us to be mindful of what's going on outside of us and in our environment, because we also need to be aware of what's happening and then how that's impacting us, because we are responsive beings as human beings. We respond to what's happening around us. And again, if we're not aware, we might just react and then not understand what we're reacting to. And myself included, and a lot of people I work with, we have reactions, and it's like that came out of nowhere. I have no idea where that came from. Now, that's not how we work as human beings. We're responding to something, but sometimes we're so unaware or so disconnected that we're not able to tell what happened. And mindfulness, again, gives us a way to be able to better get connected with and understand what's happening in our own beings, be able to understand what's happening outside of us in the environment, and then we can use that to make connections, to be able to get a better sense of what's happening inside of me, outside of me, and how are those things connected? What am I responding to? And then, as you can maybe guess, as we're able to better understand what's happening, then we're more aware, we can make better connections, we have better insight, we have better understanding, and then we can make better choices. If I understand what's happening to me and what I'm responding to, I can make shifts. And it makes us much more effective at, again, being aware, having that insight, and then being able to make better decisions. So now you might be wondering, okay, that all sounds wonderful and great. How do I be mindful? Well, stay tuned. If you want to know more about that, you can check out my next video on how to be mindful. Thanks.